What if I told you that right now, this very second, you're sitting on a gold mine, not outside, not in the bank, not in someone else's pocket, it's inside you. The problem is most people never dig deep enough to find it. They live their lives like they're driving a Ferrari but stuck in first gear. And the most tragic part, they start believing that this is just the way life is. No, that is not the way life is. That's the way you've been conditioned to believe life is. You have unlimited potential pulsing inside you, potential that's begging to be unleashed. But here's the truth, potential doesn't mean anything if you don't activate it. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Everything begins with a decision, a real decision, not a half-hearted, I'll try, or let's see what happens. I'm talking about the kind of decision that slams the door on your old life and throws away the key. Most people never make this kind of decision. They live in, maybe, in, someday, in, I hope things change. But someday isn't a date on the calendar. It's a trap. And until you decide, with absolute certainty, that you are done playing small, nothing in your life will change. Think about it, every major turning point in history, every innovation, every movement, every personal breakthrough started because someone decided. They didn't wait until they had all the answers, all the money, or all the confidence. They drew a line in the sand and said, enough. This is the moment. This is the day my life changes. That's the power of a real decision. It doesn't just point you in a new direction. It eliminates every other possibility except moving forward. Here's the truth. The universe doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to certainty. When you decide with full conviction, your brain starts rewiring itself to find solutions, attract opportunities, and create momentum you couldn't see before. The problem is, most people are addicted to their comfort zone, even when that comfort zone is killing their dreams. They want change without discomfort, growth without challenge, success without sacrifice. It doesn't work that way. You have to be willing to let go of the familiar, no matter how safe it feels, to reach for something greater. The moment you decide you're done playing small, you stop apologizing for your ambitions. You stop shrinking to fit in rooms you've outgrown. You stop settling for relationships, jobs, and habits that drain you. It's not about arrogance. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to live beneath it. This kind of decision changes how you speak, how you walk, and how you see yourself. But here's the secret: you don't have to feel ready to decide. Readiness is an illusion. The feeling comes after you've acted, not before. You decide first, then you build the courage, the skill, and the certainty along the way. The decision is the spark that ignites everything else. Without it, you're just circling the runway, waiting for perfect conditions that never come. With it, you're airborne, imperfect, maybe a little scared, but moving toward the life you were meant to live. Stop accepting average thinking, average effort, average results. Life will always meet you at the level of the standards you demand from yourself, not the level of your desires. You can want greatness all day long, but if your standards are low, your results will match those standards every single time. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, opportunity, or even luck. They fail because their standards are set to good enough, and good enough is the fastest path to mediocrity. Raising your standards means drawing a bold, unshakable line between what you will tolerate and what you will never again accept in your life. It's about deciding that certain things, poor health, toxic relationships, financial struggle, low energy, excuses, are simply no longer options. The second you make that mental shift, everything else starts to reorganize itself. You start acting differently. You start thinking differently. You start attracting different opportunities because your internal thermostat has been reset to a higher temperature. Think of your standards as the silent contract you've made with yourself. If you've agreed, consciously or not, to live at a certain level, you will always find a way to stay there, even if it means sabotaging your own growth. The reason is simple: your brain craves consistency. So if you raise your standards, your brain will fight to bring your actions, habits, and environment up to match them. This is why raising your standards is one of the most powerful moves you can make. It forces change from the inside out. Here's the challenge. Most people have higher standards for others than they do for themselves. They expect loyalty, excellence, and commitment from friends, partners, and colleagues. but will tolerate laziness, procrastination, and negative self-talk in their own lives. Raising your standards means flipping that equation. You demand more from yourself than you would ever expect from anyone else. You hold yourself accountable even when no one's watching. You keep promises you make to yourself with the same urgency as promises you make to others. Once your standards rise, you can't go back, not without feeling the weight of that compromise every single day. It becomes impossible to be satisfied with anything less than the life you know you're capable of living. And that's when life begins to transform, not because the world suddenly becomes easier, but because you've decided that anything beneath your true potential is simply unacceptable. You've moved the bar higher, and now everything in you rises to meet it. No blaming, no excuses, no F only. The moment you take full ownership of your life, every decision, every outcome, every challenge, you take back the power to change it. Most people live in a constant state of finger pointing, waiting for circumstances to shift or for someone else to make things right. They blame the economy, their upbringing, their boss, their partner, or just bad luck. And while those things can influence your path, they don't have the authority to define your destiny unless you hand it over to them. When you take 100% responsibility, you stop giving away your power. You stop allowing external forces to dictate how you think, feel, and act. You realize that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond. That shift alone separates people who thrive from people who merely survive. Life is not about avoiding problems. It's about building the mental, emotional, and strategic muscle to handle them. Owning your life means accepting that you are where you are right now because of the decisions you've made, the actions you've taken, and the standards you've tolerated. That can be a hard pill to swallow, but it's also the most liberating truth you'll ever face. Why? Because if you created your current reality, you can create a better one. You can choose new actions, new habits, and new perspectives starting right now. You are not a prisoner of your past unless you choose to stay behind the bars of old excuses. Taking responsibility doesn't mean beating yourself up over mistakes. It means learning from them without letting them define you. It means shifting from victim mode to creator mode, where every challenge is fuel, every setback is feedback, and every obstacle is an opportunity to grow stronger. It means acknowledging the role you play in your own struggles and then using that awareness as leverage to break free from them. The truth is, blaming is easy. Excuses are easy, but both cost you the one thing you can never get back: time. Every day you spend pointing fingers is a day you're not moving forward. When you own your life completely, you stop waiting for permission, luck, or the right time. You understand that no one is coming to rescue you, not because people don't care, but because you're not supposed to need rescuing. You're the hero of your own story, and heroes don't wait, they act. And that action begins the moment you claim full responsibility for everything in your life. Garbage in, garbage out. What you feed your mind shapes the quality of your thoughts, your decisions, and ultimately your life. If your mental diet consists of constant negativity, fear-based news, gossip, and self-doubt, you cannot expect to produce empowering actions or extraordinary results. The mind works like fertile soil. It will grow whatever seeds you plant, whether those seeds are weeds of limitation or roots of unstoppable belief. The challenge is, most people never stop to consciously choose what they're planting. They consume whatever shows up in front of them, not realizing it's shaping their reality. Feeding your mind with power means making an intentional decision about what gets access to your mental space. It means surrounding yourself with ideas, knowledge, and voices that elevate you, books that stretch your thinking, conversations that challenge your limits, audio and video content that sparks courage, confidence, and vision. Every single day, you have the opportunity to feed your mind with what strengthens it, or starve it with what weakens it. This isn't about pretending life is perfect or ignoring reality. It's about understanding that you always get more of what you focus on. If you feed your mind with reasons why you can't win, you'll unconsciously sabotage your own efforts. But if you feed it with examples, strategies, and stories of resilience and success, you'll start to believe, not in theory, but deep in your bones, that you can make it happen too. The truth is, your mind is always being programmed, either by you or by the environment you allow yourself to stay in. If you don't take control of that programming, You'll operate on autopilot, repeating the same thoughts, behaviors, and results you've always had. To change your life, you must first change your input. That's why the most successful people are obsessive about their mental environment. They don't casually consume, they curate. They don't allow just anyone to speak into their lives. They guard their focus like it's their most valuable asset, because it is. When you feed your mind with power consistently, you develop a mental resilience that can't be shaken by setbacks. You start thinking in terms of possibilities instead of limitations. You see opportunities where others see problems. You train your brain to expect progress, to look for solutions, and to keep moving forward no matter what. And over time, that mental diet creates a mindset so strong that it becomes nearly impossible for outside circumstances to control your destiny. Your emotional state is the control center for everything you do. It dictates your decisions, your energy, and your ability to take action. When you're in a peak state, feeling focused, confident, and energized, you make bold moves, speak with certainty, and handle challenges head-on. But when you're in a low state, drained, fearful, or overwhelmed, you hesitate, overthink, and talk yourself out of opportunities. The difference between success and stagnation often comes down to your ability to shift your state in the moment. Most people believe emotions are random, like the weather, and that they just happen to us. But that's not true. You have far more control over your emotional state than you think. The fastest way to change it is through your physiology. Motion changes emotion. When you stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with purpose, you signal to your brain that you're in control. Try slouching and taking shallow breaths. You'll instantly feel more tired or stressed. Now stand up straight, take a powerful breath, and imagine you're about to win. Your brain responds immediately. Your focus is the second lever for mastering your state. What you choose to focus on determines how you feel. If you dwell on problems, fears, or everything that could go wrong, you'll feel powerless. But if you shift your attention to possibilities, solutions, and what you can control right now, you'll feel empowered. Your mind is like a magnifying glass. It makes whatever you focus on bigger and more intense. So choose carefully. The third lever is language. The words you use, both out loud and in your head, create your reality. If you tell yourself, "I'm exhausted, I'm stuck, I'm failing," your brain takes it as a command and acts accordingly. But if you say, "I'm energized, I'm learning, I'm unstoppable," you give your mind a different set of instructions. Even subtle changes matter. Saying, "I'm overwhelmed," feels heavy, but saying, "I'm challenged," feels like something you can overcome. When you master your state, you stop being a prisoner of your moods and circumstances. You become the one who decides how you feel, no matter what's happening around you. That's where true power comes from. Being able to step into certainty, energy, and focus on demand. The world responds differently to someone who radiates that kind of strength. People listen to you. Opportunities open up, and challenges that once seemed impossible start to feel like just another step on the path forward. The people you spend the most time with are shaping your mindset, your habits, and your destiny, whether you realize it or not. Every conversation, every interaction, every subtle exchange of energy is either lifting you higher or pulling you down. Some people are elevators. They inspire you, challenge you, and make you believe in possibilities you didn't see before. Others are anchors. They drain your energy, amplify your doubts, and keep you tethered to the same spot no matter how much you try to move forward. If you want to grow, you have to get honest about who's in your inner circle. Many people stay surrounded by anchors out of comfort, familiarity, or even guilt. They fear losing old connections or being judged for outgrowing certain relationships. But the truth is, you cannot soar if you are constantly weighed down. You can't expect to maintain a championship mindset while spending your days with people who talk themselves out of every opportunity, complain about every challenge, and live in a loop of excuses. Energy is contagious, and without even realizing it, you start to mirror the people you're around the most. Elevators, on the other hand, don't let you settle for less than your best. They hold you accountable when you start slipping. They celebrate your wins without jealousy. They challenge your thinking and push you to see beyond your current limits. When you leave a conversation with an elevator, you feel more alive, more capable, more determined to take action. That's the kind of energy that fuels real progress. Surrounding yourself with elevators doesn't always mean cutting every anchor out of your life overnight, but it does mean becoming intentional. You limit your exposure to negativity and increase your exposure to inspiration, growth, and possibility. You might start spending more time with mentors, joining communities of high achievers, or simply engaging with people who share your drive and vision. This isn't about being ruthless. It's about protecting your future. You wouldn't plant a healthy tree in toxic soil and expect it to thrive. In the same way, you can't plant your dreams in an environment that constantly poisons your belief. Your environment will always either reinforce your limitations or amplify your potential. The choice is yours. Do you stay tied to the anchors that keep you where you are, or do you rise with the elevators who push you toward where you could be? The answer will determine the speed and height of your growth. You will never feel completely ready, and that's exactly why you have to move. Waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or the perfect conditions is a trap that keeps dreams buried. The truth is, clarity comes from action, not the other way around. The most successful people you know didn't start because they had everything figured out. They started because they were willing to take massive, imperfect action and adjust along the way. Perfection is just a form of procrastination dressed up to look respectable. It convinces you that you're being smart or careful, when in reality you're stalling out of fear. The longer you wait, the more your doubts grow and the more momentum you lose. Action, even messy action, breaks that cycle. Every step forward teaches you something you could never have learned from the sidelines. You begin to see what works, what doesn't, and what needs to change, and that information is priceless. Massive action creates momentum, and momentum is the most powerful force in achievement. Once you start moving, you generate energy, and that energy fuels even more action. You begin to attract opportunities, resources, and people you would have never encountered had you stayed still. On the other hand, inaction breeds inertia, and the longer you're stuck, the harder it becomes to get moving again. The beauty of imperfect action is that it frees you from the pressure of getting it right the first time. You give yourself permission to learn, to adapt, to evolve. Think about every great innovator, leader, or creator. They all have a trail of mistakes and failures behind them, but those weren't signs to stop. They were the stepping stones that led to breakthroughs. When you take massive, imperfect action, you stop letting fear dictate your choices. Fear thrives in stillness. It feeds on hesitation and what-if scenarios. But when you move, you shrink fear's power. You start to build confidence not from thinking about what you could do, but from proving to yourself in real time what you are capable of. The truth is, your first step won't be perfect, and it doesn't need to be. The only thing that matters is that it's taken. Because once you're in motion, you can course correct, refine, and accelerate. But if you never move, you'll never know what could have been possible. And possibility only becomes reality when you're bold enough to act before you feel ready. Growth isn't just about reaching the big finish line. It's about recognizing every step forward along the way. Too many people rob themselves of momentum because they refuse to acknowledge progress unless it's flawless or complete. They hit a milestone and immediately downplay it. Yeah, but I still have so far to go. That mindset turns every win into a non-event, and over time, it drains your motivation. The truth is, perfection is a moving target. You never truly arrive. The key is to celebrate the climb, not just the peak. When you celebrate progress, you reinforce the behaviors and habits that got you there. Your brain releases dopamine when you acknowledge an achievement, no matter how small. That chemical reward builds a positive feedback loop. Your mind starts associating growth with pleasure, which makes you want to keep going. If you only give yourself that reward when you hit massive goals, you miss hundreds of opportunities to fuel your journey. Celebrating progress doesn't mean you become complacent or settle for less. It means you give yourself credit for moving forward while staying hungry for what's next. It's the balance between gratitude for how far you've come and determination for how far you can still go. That mindset keeps you energized instead of exhausted, inspired instead of burned out. Think about it. If you were climbing a mountain, would you only allow yourself to feel proud once you reach the very top? Or would you stop occasionally, look back at the incredible distance you've covered, and let that fuel your next push? Every small victory, a new habit formed, a fear confronted, a skill improved, is proof that you're becoming the person capable of achieving the bigger vision. Most people underestimate the compounding effect of consistent progress. When you celebrate those small wins, you train yourself to see growth everywhere. You start noticing that the actions you take each day, even the ones that seem insignificant, are adding up to something remarkable. That awareness builds momentum. And momentum is the difference between goals that remain dreams and goals that become reality. Your journey will have setbacks. There will be days when progress feels invisible. But if you make it a habit to pause, acknowledge, and celebrate even the smallest forward step, you create the emotional fuel to keep moving. Over time, those steps become strides, and those strides carry you to places you once thought were out of reach. Not because you were perfect, but because you honored the process and stayed in motion. Everything you've just heard isn't theory. It's the blueprint for transformation. The truth is, most people never come close to touching their true potential because they let comfort, fear, and habits keep them locked in a smaller version of themselves. But potential doesn't care about your past. It doesn't care about your mistakes or the labels you've carried for years. Potential only responds to one thing: your willingness to act on it. The decision to step into your power, to raise your standards, to take full responsibility, and to control the state of your mind and body is the decision to stop letting life happen to you and start making life happen for you. You have to understand that everything is connected. When you feed your mind with powerful thoughts, you begin to believe differently. When you believe differently, you take bolder action. When you take bolder action, you attract better opportunities and stronger people into your life. And when your environment supports your growth, it's easier to stay in a peak emotional state that fuels even more progress. This isn't about changing one thing. It's about stacking every advantage in your favor until success becomes the only logical outcome. Transformation isn't a single leap. It's a chain reaction of aligned choices. And yet, none of this matters without movement. Waiting for the perfect. Time is the silent killer of dreams. You've got to take massive, imperfect action now while the fire is still burning. You'll stumble, you'll make mistakes, and sometimes you'll feel like you're moving backward. But those are not signs of failure. They are signs of life. They mean you're in the game, learning, growing, and becoming the kind of person who can handle the life you're building. Every step forward, no matter how messy, is shaping you into someone more capable, more resilient, and more unstoppable. That's why celebrating your progress is so essential. If you only reward yourself for the big, dramatic victories, you'll spend most of your life feeling like you're not enough. But when you acknowledge the daily wins, the difficult conversation you faced, the workout you didn't skip, the opportunity you finally chased, you train your brain to see yourself as someone who is constantly moving forward. And the more you see yourself that way, the more consistent and courageous your actions become. This is how growth stops being a grind and starts becoming a source of joy. So here's the truth: you already have everything you need to unleash your power. The resources, the opportunities, the right timing, they will reveal themselves the moment you decide to stop playing small and start living in alignment with your highest potential. The question is not whether you're capable, it's whether you're willing. Willing to raise your standards, own your life, master your state, choose your circle wisely, take massive action, and honor every step forward. Because the moment you do, you stop being the passenger in your own story and become the author. And the story you write from here on out can be one of unstoppable growth, unshakable belief, and a life so full of purpose and passion that it inspires everyone around you. Thank you for being here today and investing your time into your own growth. Remember, knowledge means nothing without action. So take what you've learned and put it into motion starting now. You are far more powerful than you've ever been told, and your potential is waiting for you to unleash it. If this message resonated with you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so we can keep building this journey together. Until next time, stay hungry, stay focused, and keep pushing toward the life you were born to live. This is your time. Take it. Goodbye for now, and I'll see you in the next video.